Well, good morning, everyone. Other than just a couple people here in the sanctuary, we welcome you online today. As you've heard, our heating system is down, and so we are bundled up in here. We've brought warm beverages and a little candlelight to warm our hands. We are ready for our service today. We're really happy that you've joined us. My name is Doug Booth. I use he and him pronouns, and I serve on your board of trustees. And I am happy to welcome you to our Zoom meeting for Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Longtime members and new visitors alike, we welcome you. Whether you're joining us here on site, we do have just a few folks, or online in another location. We're really glad that you're with us today. We are a people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders, and love is the power that holds us together. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. You are welcome just as you are. If this is your first time joining us online, I bid you a special welcome. You are a brave soul. I'm so glad you found your way to our community. After this service, we don't have anybody here, but I will be here if you wanted to drive over, I don't know, and stop and chat. That would be lovely. But normally, we'll have someone to answer questions in the back and have a social hour. We hope you'll come back here once we have the temperature a little higher than 55 degrees. Our service, for our service this morning, our online chat chaplain, Scott Redman, will help guide for our online folks, and you'll be seeing things on the screen. We hope you'll sing along as you have that chance at home. Maybe you can sing louder, because not so self-conscious when you're singing in your living room, kind of like singing in the shower. On our website, which is tahomauu.com, there are some upcoming events and volunteer opportunities are posted, as well as information about our congregation. If you aren't yet signed up for the e-news, that would be a great thing you could do today so you don't miss anything. But here's some of the things that are happening. It is with mixed emotions that we announce the resignation of our office administrator, Sharon. She came on board to help temporarily and decided to stay on. She was instrumental in helping to get our financial records in order, and Sharon is fabulous in her role. However, she'll be completing her master's degree at the end of February and needs a full-time job to provide for her family. We are really happy that she found what she needs, and the Franklin Pierce School District will be lucky to have her. Sharon will continue with us in her current role until January 21st. Please join us after the service on the 28th to celebrate Sharon and thank her for her amazing work on behalf of our congregation. The board is working on a plan for temporary coverage of office duties. If you're interested in serving on the HR committee, to get a job description updated and posted so we can hire soon, please email board@tahomauu.com. As you've heard, our heating system is experiencing issues. And by the way, I will say, so are many other people, because I waited an hour online only to find out a company didn't service commercial buildings. So there's a high demand right now. We were not able to get support over this holiday weekend. So all activities at TUUC this coming week should be considered in question at best or canceled until notice is given that our heating is back online. Our amazing safe parking crew have done everything in their power to provide at least a less cold place. Might not be fair to call it a warming center, a less cold center for our guests to stay in at night during this freezing weather. They've been providing shelter, warm blankets and warmers, space heaters, warm food and drink, and a place to sleep at night here in the church in safety. We want to express our deepest gratitude to our tireless volunteers who have given of their hearts and their time to these vulnerable individuals. The board's executive team and the building committee are working to do everything they can to get our heating system functioning as soon as possible. We will be holding 2 meetings, one face-to-face and one over Zoom, to share ideas and gather input from the congregation for next year's budget priorities and our pledge goals. Stay tuned for more information on this. Also, a great note, Reverend Crystal is working on restarting the Pastoral Care Committee. Please reach out to her directly if you're interested in helping in this important work. And you can find her contact information online. It is minister@tahomauu.com. We're also excited to say we're making plans for the return of our auction in 2024, so stay tuned. Again, you can check out the e-news for more information about these and other topics and how to become more involved and deeply connected with our spiritual community. Due to the lack of heating in the building, our coffee crew were invited to stay home and stay warm, and yet I see coffee over there. So thank you so much for braving this weather. And for all of you who are here in the sanctuary today, you are brave souls. We applaud your courage and your warm clothing choices. Lastly, friends, I invite you to set your electronic devices to worship mode, even if you're at home. We're gathered here, one community together. Let us settle ourselves into this holy moment. Open our hearts to learn and unlearn, to share and to receive. I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from occupied Puyallup and Coast Salish ancestral lands, and I pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to their descendants and all Indigenous peoples. And now let us join together in worship. You hear this at home? We welcome who come in friendship, who long for genuine community.
May you be graciously received here as your authentic self.
Welcome who come in curiosity, full of questions, or simply open.
May you embrace wonder and encounter new delights.
Welcome who come heavy with fatigue, weary from the troubles of the world, or troubles in your particular life.
May you rest and be filled in this sacred space.
Welcome who come with joy, with flowing rivers and gentle breeze, for changing skies and great trees.
May the grace of the world leave a lasting imprint on you.
Welcome who come with thanks for the altruism of the earth and the gift of human care.
May your grateful heart overflow and bless those around you. Come, let us celebrate together this wondrous life. Our chalice lighter this morning is Doug Booth. Which number do I move the camera to? Keep it there? Okay. Anyway, Doug is going to light a flame to bring a little more warmth into our world this morning. In a moment. And join me, if you will, in the words for our chalice lighting. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. Our opening hymn this morning is Spirit of Life. You will find the words on your screen or perhaps in the gray hymnal if you're so inclined. Please join me in Spirit of Life.
Oh, I now invite you to sing with me, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the air, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Let's see, now we have our time for all ages. Sorry, y'all don't qualify as youngins in the sanctuary today, but young at heart, definitely. So at home, and I forgot to mention this in the announcements, but at home, if you, whether you have children or not, grab something to draw on, if you would. You should have crayons around the house. Nobody should be without crayons ever. Marking pens, pencil, whatever works for you. Going to have you draw something. I would like you to draw what love looks like in your life. Our story today for Time for All Ages is from a treasury of Buddhist wisdom for children and parents on kindness. And the story today is The Noble Ibex, a Jataka tale. And Jataka is the collection of stories of Buddha's incarnations in life, down to the final incarnation. And so this is a Jataka tale. We have the sentiment, though, let one's boundless love fill the whole world, above, below, and across. So please be making your illustration of what love looks like in your life. And I'll read you this story. Once upon a time, the Buddha was born as a magnificent ibex. The forest in which he lived was far from civilization and therefore tranquil, inhabited by many creatures, both small and large. Its lakes were pristine. Along the banks of clear, babbling brooks were found rare flowers which blossomed nowhere else in the world. Trees towered above the lush undergrowth and kept the forest cool and mild. The noble ibex that lived in this forest, the former Buddha, was as beautiful as he was sleek and swift. He had the body of an animal, but the intelligence and empathy of a human being. So deep was his compassion for all living things that he often trod delicately so as not to crush anything. He ate nothing but the tips of grasses already gone to seed. As this region was renowned for its great beauty, hunting parties would at times make long journeys to reach it. On one such occasion, a king and his royal retinue, that one's a new word for me, sorry. A king and his royal retinue camped on the edge of the forest, hoping to bag large amounts of game before the end of their stay. One morning, the king set out on horseback with his small group following him. Not long after the king caught glimpses of the splendid ibex, he wanted to hunt him down. Snapping his reins across the horse's neck, the king dashed away in chase, leaving the group far behind. When the ibex heard the quick pounding of hooves, he turned and saw the king swiftly bearing down upon him. The king's bow was drawn taut and an arrow ready in its sights. Although the ibex could have fought the king's attack, he chose to avoid violence, even in self-defense. So the ibex spun around and took off with great speed toward the dense center of the forest, confident the king could not overtake him. Though the thick forest was, through the thick forest he sprang, still pursued by the king, but the distance between them was increasing. The ibex came to a familiar, small, deep chasm and leapt over it effortlessly. But the king's horse, coming to that same rocky cliff, abruptly pressed his weight backwards and refused to jump. The king had been watching the ibex, not the forest floor. So when the horse stopped with a jolt, the surprised king fell forward headlong into the chasm. After a time, the ibex heard no hoofbeats in pursuit. He slowed and twisted his head around to examine the situation behind him. There in the distance, he spotted the riderless horse on the chasm's edge and correctly guessed what had happened to the king. A sudden welling of compassion overcame him for his would-have-been murderer. He anticipated that the king must have been in severe pain, surely having broken a number of bones in the fall. He knew also that the king would never survive long in the forest. It was rife with tigers and other beasts. The ibex walked up to the chasm's edge and beheld the king far below, moaning and writhing in pain. He no longer looked upon the king as his enemy, but felt his suffering keenly. The former Buddha gently inquired, "I hope your majesty has no serious wounds. Might the pain of your injuries be diminishing by now?" The king looked up at the ibex in utter astonishment. He felt a dreadful pang of remorse for his behavior towards the noble animal. Oh, how the king felt his shame. "You see, your excellency," he comforted the ibex, "I am no wild devil to be hunted for sport. I am just a peaceful creature living within the bounds of this beautiful forest." "Oh," blurted the king, "it is I who have acted as a beast and not you. Can you ever forgive me?" he asked. "My physical pain right now," continued the king, "is far less than the pain I feel for having threatened a noble creature as yourself." "Sire," responded the ibex, "let me help you out of your predicament. I can rescue you if you'll trust me." The ibex took the king's silence as a sign of goodwill and knew that the king would accept his help. He then searched for a boulder as heavy as a man and practiced lifting it. When he felt he could do it safely without slipping, he made his way down the scree beside the king. "If you mount me as you would your horse, your excellency, I believe I can leap out of the chasm with you on my back," offered the ibex. The king followed these directions and held on as best he could. In an instant, the ibex leapt in a great arc onto the cliff rim. There the king found his waiting horse, but was so overtaken by the goodness of the ibex, he could not leave. "What can I do to repay you?" begged the king. "If you would come to my palace, we would see that your every need is met. I can't bear to think of you left in this forest with hunters in pursuit. Please, please come back with me," insisted the king. "Sire, do you not think I, who am so contented in this forest, could really adjust to that? I love nothing better than to live here in peace. But there is one great favor I would ask of you." "Anything," said the king. "I ask that you give up hunting for sport. You now realize that all creatures want happiness and security. Can it be right to do to them what you yourself would despise? A true king," proclaimed the ibex, "will gain his people's love by showing great goodness, not showing power." The grateful king agreed to the request. "Now, let me show you the way back to safety," suggested the ibex. "Mount your horse and I will guide you home to your camp." The king soon returned to his palace and the ibex disappeared into the shelter of the forest. But forevermore, the king lived by the wise words of the noble ibex, the former Buddha. He forbade hunting for sport throughout his kingdom's domain. He protected his people, but no longer waged costly wars against nearby countries. His kingdom flourished, and thus the good king was greatly loved and respected by his people as the gentlest and wisest of kings. I hope to see some of your drawings sometime. Maybe you'll post them on your refrigerator. I think we have a Facebook group too. Boy, it'd be lovely to see some of these pictures on Facebook. And we're not going to sing our children out because don't have any here. But children are most welcome to stay for the rest of this service. We'll call it kid-friendly. How's that? And so now we'll invite Scott to handle our offering.
We should see some instructions on screen to help us use the online approaches to giving. The words of Brandock Lovely will help us in this moment. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope, for we are now keepers of the dream. Thank you all.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. Then I go to my brother. And I say, brother, help me please. But he wind up knocking back down on the knee. Oh, there've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able, Father, to carry on. And it's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. Yes it is. Yes it is. Said I know that a change is gonna come one day. I know a change gonna come. Yes it is. I know
could listen to that all day. And now join me in the words dedicating our offering. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. I'm going to invite you now to come into a time of meditation. You're welcome to close your eyes, but we'll have some images on the screen to help you kind of transport yourself maybe down to the Northern California coast, to Humboldt County, the majestic redwoods. And we're going to take a walk through the forest. So imagine yourself there right now, just coming in through the edge of the forest to the stand of redwoods. And you can't help it, your gaze is pulled up into the tall trunks, reaching far into the sky, 200, 300 feet and higher, sun shining through the branches. And you imagine how many centuries it has taken for them to reach the heavens, these ancient residents of living ground. You walk up to a massive tree, maybe 20 feet in diameter, and to touch the trunk and feel the strong bark formed maybe 2 millennia ago is what you're touching as old as Christianity itself, still living and thriving in the very location it sprouted. You can almost hear or sense their presence, taking up space, living in this sacred sanctuary of silence. There's a kind of quiet that elicits reverence and awe. You get glimpses of residents of the high branches, flycatchers, warblers, swifts, thrushes, jays, woodpeckers, ruffed grouse, and owls, coexisting in their high-rise development of nature. What diversity there is living in balance. Smell the air. Sweet with the perfume of life and decay. It fills your lungs and you feel your stress slipping away. You walk by fallen dead trunks, yielding their life, energy, and nutrients slowly, imperceptibly, back into the ground, nourishing new sprouts. The next generations to see the future world we cannot imagine. Walking down the path, feel the cushioned forest floor under your feet. Ferns fixing nutrients. Roots from these massive trees reaching deep, interconnected, drawing moisture in flood and drought, finding nutrients from remnants of the past as they exist in the present. As a community, they hold each other up and share the riches of earth, sky, and water. Surviving fire, fierce winds, and weather, you can see the evidence of this on the bark. Enduring through changes in seasons, explorers, empire builders, governments, and societies, still remembering the names of their long past indigenous siblings who knew their deep spiritual value and connection to all living things. Walking through this forest, in reverence for the ancient, the mysterious, the timeless, the profound beauty, you remember your oh so short time here among these giants, finding comfort in their slowness, patience, balance, and peace. Our opening reading is My Ancestry DNA Results Came In by Reverend Fred Lamott. My ancestry DNA results came in. Just as I suspected, my great-great-grandfather was a monarch butterfly. Much of who I am is still wiggling under a stone. I'm part larva and part hummingbird too. There's a dinosaur tar in my bone marrow. My golden hair sprang out of a meadow in Palestine. Genghis Khan is my fourth cousin, but I didn't get his dimples. My loins are loaded with banyan seeds from Sri Lanka, but I descended from Ravana, not Ram. My uncle is a mastodon. There are traces of white people in my saliva. 3.7 billion years ago, I swirled in golden dust, dreaming of a planet overgrown with lingams and Jonas. More recently, say 60,000 BC, I walked on hairy paws across a land bridge, joining Sweden and Botswana. I am the bastard of the sun and moon. I can no longer hide my heritage of raindrops and cougar scat. I am made of your grandmother's tears. You conquered rival tribesmen of your own color, chained them together, marched them naked to the coast, and sold them to colonists from Savannah. I was that brother you sold. I was the slave trader. I was the chain. Admit it, you have wings, vast and golden, like mine. Like mine. You have sweat, black and salty, like mine, like mine. You have secrets silently singing in your blood, like mine, like mine. Don't pretend the earth is not one family. Don't pretend we never hung from the same branch. Don't pretend we don't ripen on each other's breath. Don't pretend we didn't come here to forgive. Our sermon this morning is offered by a virtual visitor to the pulpit, Reverend Sarah Gibb Millspaugh of the UUA Congregation Life staff. And her sermon is Living into a Living System. Please listen along with me.
On Election Day 2016. Yes, remember that day? On Election Day 2016, I started to plant a garden. To take control of something anything and beautify that little plot of earth behind the condo that my family had recently moved into. Feeling distressed about our culture, our nation, feeling despair about climate change, I thought I would make this backyard not just beautiful, but an expression of my spiritual values. Now, this is a small backyard, about the size of a typical living room, and most of it was taken up by a patio. I didn't have a heck of a lot of soil to work with, but I plodded ahead anyway. First, I brought out the beauty that was already there by weeding carefully, fertilizing the roses and the like. And then I purchased native plants, so threatened in our area where new houses swallow sagebrush-covered hills every day. I bought a house for solitary bees and planted flowers that they would like. And with great expectancy, I bought some milkweed, envisioning generations of monarch butterflies birthed at our home. Well, all of this was going well until I brought in the veggies. First, it was the demise of the spinach, taken down by mites. Then it was the kale, devoured by aphids. I started to apply organic pesticides, but I realized that I couldn't. They would hurt the butterfly larvae. So I bought some ladybugs to eat the insects off of the veggies, and they all flew away or died. So I planted new kale and spinach, but then I noticed something was coming in and eating that new kale and spinach. Birds. So then I built this whole ugly contraption to scare away birds from the garden. This garden, my garden, wasn't very pretty anymore. And then one day, workers came to fix the patio, and a nest of 5 rats ran out from underneath. Oh my. Actually, the rats were the veggie eaters. Now, did I mention that we're vegan in my family? Now we were vegans with a rat problem. I was already feeling like this little yard was putting my values at cross purposes. And then we got a dog who loves to dig and lie in dirt, and she trampled the carefully nurtured native plants as well as the kale and the onions, and she came very close to squishing precious monarchs. This yard, this expression of my spiritual values, became an illustration of the interdependent web, but not in just a pretty way. It became a system at war with itself. Have you ever experienced that too, at home, in life, or here in your congregation? Feeling that despite your best efforts at all good things, things are just not working. Every little intervention you make just causes some new problem. Feeling like you're within a system that you just cannot seem to control. We Unitarian Universalists talk a lot about systems, the justice system, the economic system, the systems that are out there, our solar systems, and in here, our digestive systems, the social systems that we're caught up in. And unless you believe in an all-powerful God, you've probably come to recognize that no one thing and no one is in charge of a system. A system is really a community, a complex community of beings, each with its own behaviors and purposes. And like my backyard, the results of a system say more about it than the values and efforts that went into it. It's not just the thought that counts. I serve on the Congregational Life staff of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and this means that I support the living systems of congregations. I partner with you to tend to the health of your congregation's systems. And our congregations, like my backyard, can find ourselves all tangled up. We face conundrums like we value radical inclusion, but we also value kindness and good boundaries. So what does it mean to be radically inclusive of someone whose behavior is harmful or inappropriate? Those values can come into conflict in the life of a congregation, or times when we clean up our policies and our procedures only to find that no one follows them and loosey-goosiness persists. Or times when a congregation's bylaws say who's really in charge here, the board, but the system knows it's really Sally and Joe who are in charge. In a complex human system like a congregation, there can be so many layers upon layers of values and meaning and culture and the way things have always been done that it can feel pretty hard to change things. It can be hard even for someone in a position that we might ask to make change, like our congregational president, even our minister. A living system is naturally resistant to change. And the whole system needs to be taken into account if we are to transform a congregation, a backyard, our world. This is a very, very challenging time to be a person in the United States. So much anxiety, fear, hatred, so much violence, so much othering. It tears at our hearts. It is hard to know how to respond when every day there is another thing to be outraged about, another example of cruelty, autocracy, and more. This is not what we were supposed to be like, not how we were supposed to be as a country, as a world. We are Unitarian Universalists because we believe in the human capacity for goodness, and yet there is so much evil. But at the same time, something else is emerging, a new sense of our power as people. Several deeply interconnected, creative, and wise movements of people working together, not only to challenge the evil, but working to make love prevail. Movements rising up as if from nowhere, catching hold, changing the course of our lives, changing the course of history. This emergence of love-based activism can surprise our nation. Why that time? Why those people? And this is the heart of what I want to share with you today. Beauty and power emerge in unexpected places when we've been tending to our living systems, planting the seeds and nurturing the roots. The contemporary activist Adrienne Marie Brown sees emergence as a key strategy for how we change the systems of our lives to be more loving and more just. Her book, Emergent Strategy, integrates justice work and sci-fi and queer and Black lives, and she explains emergence this way. Emergence is the way complex systems and patterns arise out of a multiplicity of relatively simple interactions. There are examples of emergence everywhere. She continues, emergence is beyond what the sum of its parts could even imagine. Oak trees don't set an intention to listen to each other better or agree to hold tight to each other when the next storm comes. Under the earth, always, the oak trees reach for each other. They grow such that their roots are intertwined and create a system of strength that is as resilient on a sunny day as it is in a hurricane. Dandelions, she continues, dandelions don't know whether they are a weed or a brilliance, but each seed can create a field of dandelions. We are invited to be that prolific and to return fertility to the soil around us. And what emerges from these cycles, she continues, are complex organisms, systems, movements, societies. Nothing is wasted or a failure. Emergence is a system that makes use of everything. End quote. I invite us to think of those oak trees, Under the earth, they reach for each other. They grow such that their roots are intertwined. How are we reaching for one another in this congregation? How are we reaching for each other in the United States? As politicians sow cruelty and division, how are we reaching out and building connections instead? How are we reaching for each other beyond our border across the world? What sort of things might emerge if we but built the relationships, the connections, the connecting? Waking up to the ancestry DNA results that just came in for all of us, that we are, each of us, deeply interdependent, deeply indebted to all people and all life. Realizing that we are related to and in relationship with everyone and everything. Feeling awe and wonder and love for this tremendous experience of life we share. Love for one another, love for those who are different from us, love for the creatures, the microorganisms, the earth, resisting with all our might the forces that tell us that we are separate, that they are other. The early 20th century activist minister Howard Thurman counsels us to look well to the growing edge. All around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against a time when there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. All around us, worlds are dying and worlds are being reborn. Howard Thurman didn't say this lightly. He grew up in the early 20th century as a Black person in the segregated South, where he witnessed everyday legalized terror targeted against him. He did most of his work in ministry in a time when there was no certainty at all that legal segregation would end. There was no proof that nonviolence could change the world. But all the while he was planting the seeds, nurturing the shoots, looking at the life-giving possibilities for equality and freedom. And without knowing it, he built relationships and made connections that in the 1950s blossomed into an unstoppable civil rights movement. Where is this growing edge in our living system? The living system of your community. Where is that growing edge? The living systems of your town, your country, your county, your state, your province. Where is that growing edge? What shoots are arising here? What roots are spreading underground? The systems thinker Donella Meadows tells us, the future can't be predicted, but it can be envisioned and brought lovingly into being. We can't surge forward with certainty to a world of no surprises, but we can expect surprises and learn from them and even profit from them. We can't impose our will on a system. We can listen to what the system tells us and discover how its properties and our values can work together to bring forth something much better than could ever be produced by our will alone. We can't control systems or figure them out, but we can dance with them. I am in a dance with my backyard. The backyard is in the process of becoming, and as a player in that system, I keep watching and learning from it. There was a time I thought I'd made a perfect haven for pollinators, but then came grasshoppers and powdery mildew. I'm always having to adjust and rebalance and pay attention to how the system is changing and what the system needs. Just like in a congregation, just like in life. Keep participating, keep tending, keep dancing, keep living into the living system. Through all of the ugliness, we have faith that beauty and life-giving powers will emerge. So may it be. Amen.
This moment we take now allows us space to deepen the impact of what we've heard and seen this morning, whether in this service, readings, hymns, fellowship with others, or wisdom that has risen from the depths of ourselves. You may use prayer, meditation, or whatever your personal practice is to intentionally carry something forward in your life in this week ahead. And now our closing hymn. As you know, we don't have a pianist this morning, so we have a wonderful arrangement of Peter Mayer's Blue Boat Home. Hope you'll enjoy and feel free to sing along. It's hymn number 1064, normally in our teal hymnal.
Low below me, I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. direction I travel, and the earth is my blue home. Blue boat
Our closing reading this morning is from Howard Thurman. Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman was a 20th century minister and theologian, an African-American man who founded one of the first intentionally multicultural congregations and served as dean of Howard University's Divinity School. One generation older than Martin Luther King Jr., Howard Thurman is considered a forerunner of the civil rights movement in his dedication to racial equality and nonviolence. Here are his words from the Beacon Press collection, Meditation of the Heart. Look well to the growing edge. All around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and new life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against a time when there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhausted lung, the one more thing to try when all else has failed, the upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavor. This is the basis of hope in moments of despair, the incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and people have lost their reason, the source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten with ash. The birth of the child, life's most dramatic answer to death. This is the growing edge, the growing incarnate. Look well to the growing edge. Well, it is time for us to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, not the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, please join. Just a moment. The flame will not be extinguished. There it goes. We have a closing blessing song now. If you would like to join, there will be a bit of a video for that.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share.
Friends, as we go out from this time together, from this sacred circle of spiritual community we create together, back into the world which needs all of us, remember to keep alert to the way things truly are, both inside and outside yourself. Be firm in your faith. Be courageous as often as you can, and start again today to try to let all that you do come from a place of love. Go in peace.